Well, let's now go across to Parmeshwar for more details about the attack, the precise way, Parmeshwar, that was carried out. But, what we are telling the viewers right now is the American version, what we're hearing, what is the official version of how the strike happened, how it was cleared on the 25th, how it was a very precise strike. But there are also many questions being raised, about the timing as well of this strike.
You're absolutely right, Gargi. We will just delve into the major questions coming out of this killing. As you know already, the strike was carried out by a CIA-operated Air Force drone in Kabul as the Al-Qaeda leader stood on the balcony of his house. This operation also included tracking him down through his family. Now, this Zawahiri killing gives the US administration some good news to trumpet ahead of a grim anniversary, as you know. It also boosts the US claim that it still has what it calls over-the-horizon capability when it comes to intelligence on terrorist activity in Afghanistan, despite no longer having combat troops there. But while the US has insisted that the Taliban don't allow Afghan soil to be used by terrorist groups like the Al-Qaeda, this killing then leads to questions about how the Al-Qaeda chief's presence in Kabul and questions about his ties between the Taliban and the Al-Qaeda as well. Also, for the Biden administration, geopolitical analysts believe that this strike will deflect a bit from issues like how the Afghanistan withdrawal was a disaster and reduced US capability on the counterterrorism front. Some also say that the Al-Qaeda is still a powerful force in Afghanistan, even with this key 9/11 plotter gone. But what is also crucial to note is that while it's great that the US got the chief of the Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, the Taliban regime that the Biden administration had enabled to come to power is hosting senior Al-Qaeda leaders in Kabul. And his killing also raises important questions, as you mentioned. Was he betrayed by Taliban officials seeking a reward or US support for the return of frozen Afghan assets? Did he authorize operations that allowed his location to become known? Also, the third important question about his killing in Kabul, how long had he been in Kabul and who exactly was with him when he died? Also, what does this operation tell us about US's drone capabilities? These are all crucial questions at this stage, and this key 9/11 plotter's killing is nonetheless a major win for the United States in the ongoing struggle against Islamist terrorism, especially as the United Nations warns that the terrorist group is outpacing its peers like the ISIS as a long-term global threat. Back to you, Gargi.
All right. Thanks so much, Parmeshwar, for joining us with all those details. So lots of questions there. We're also now joined by Major General Sanjay Maston, defense analyst and former defense attaché who was posted in Kabul. Also, Major General Gigi Dwivedi, defense analyst, also joining us, and Maha here in studio with us. Maha, first, I just want to ask you about, the timing of it, because this is very significant also for American politics, for, Biden's domestic audiences as well to, be able to cite this great achievement of taking out the Al-Qaeda chief.
Absolutely, Gargi. And if you take a look at the tweets already and what some of the supporters of the Democrats are pointing out, they are saying that Osama bin Laden was killed when Obama was the president, and now several years later, now the elimination of Ayman Al-Zawahiri has happened when Joe Biden is at the helm of affairs. So they are keeping their commitment in keeping America safe and especially eliminating the actors of 9/11 specifically, which had seen the killing of over 2,900 people. Now, significant also for President Joe Biden at this juncture for several reasons. First of all, there is major risk at the moment of Western economies and even the US economy slipping into recession. Secondly, Joe Biden's and the American administration's sanctions, if you take a look, against Russia have not really been very successful, and they've come in for criticism for that as well. Thirdly, if you take a look at Joe Biden himself, his health condition is something that the Republicans have been talking about as well. So all these factors, if you take a look at all these factors and then connect it to the midterm polls, where it was believed that the Democrats may be not on a strong footing, all that perhaps changes with this new narrative. Here's a president, perhaps what the Democrats are now trying to show, who's very much in control and has ordered the elimination of Ayman Al-Zawahiri, been able to track down the dreaded terrorist and eliminate him in a precision strike.
That's right. Well, Major General Meston, I'd like to get you in here. What is your, reading of what's happened? We have the American version, as we said, and, this very precise strike, how U.S. President Joe Biden had given the go-ahead from the 25th of July, and they finally, struck on the 31st when they saw him on the balcony, and also no casualties as well. So that is the official version, but many questions being raised also, Pakistan's role in this entire matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, Gargi, good morning. The issues you have raised, coming on to all specifics, first is Pakistan's role. I'm a firm believer, and I've been always stating, whenever we say Taliban, I would always say it is Pakistan ISI and Pakistan Army. I have no doubts on that account. Secondly, collaboration, the violation of the Doha Agreement, that actually has happened, and Taliban 1 and Taliban 2 are exactly same. There is no, there's no difference between them. And especially when Haqqani seems to be the Home Minister, who is one of the most wanted and dreaded terrorists in the world, who had in fact targeted the Indian embassy there, our defense attaché and the first secretary. So he is that person, and imagine he's a Home Minister. It's a totally illegitimate government over there, so therefore they are giving full protection, full support to the terrorist organizations in the world, including, whether it is LET or Jaish-e-Mohammed, etc. So now it has become a breeding ground and a safe haven for all terrorists. Now the US action has been very, very successful. It really needs to be complemented, very timely operation, and a lot of channels are asking, it took 11 years. Obviously, to track out a terrorist takes a lot of time. It's not exactly easy because the terrorist also is changing his hideout.
And sir, there were also attempts in the past as well, wasn't there? That there were these attempts on him, and then, we'd hear that he managed to survive, and, some sort of evidence of his survival would also be put out in the public eye.
Yes, absolutely. So many attempts have been made, but the terrorist has the advantage. He has an easy getaway, the local support, the state-sponsored support by nations like Pakistan, Afghanistan. So that is why only thing is his movements are totally concealed, his hiding places are totally concealed, no one lays. So it takes a lot of time. So you have to have human assets, intelligence, surveillance assets, your electronic intelligence, cyber intelligence. These are all, amalgamation of all these things, which takes lots and lots of time.
Okay.
Thereafter is verification of the target. Even if he has come there, firstly to track him, trace him, then is verification of the target. Then was he standing in the balcony? So his movement timings, his pattern, all these things, once they were very, very clear, that is the time the United States has taken a decision to target him, because obviously he would be giving a pattern that every day at so and so particular time he would be coming to the balcony. So some local assets over there would have confirmed, and United States, we should not forget, it was there for about 20 years. So it has a lot of local assets over there who are being used by them, because local assets are very, very important aspect. Secondly, the targeting using the Hellfire missile, when I was as the defense attaché, I had a very close interaction with the United States defense. One thing I must give to the credit, anything, including, whether it was Humvee vehicles which was subjected to IED attacks, their R&D, the moment an attack would take place, the damaged vehicle photographs, the detailed things would be sent to the headquarters in the Pentagon, and they would immediately within 1 year come up with some modifications to that. So what I'm trying to say, even in the Hellfire, they have modified it with less explosive and now 6 blades, which is also referred to as the Ninja missile. So there was no collateral damage. So the world cannot, unlike the...
Right, point any finger.
Yes. That's right. Let me take that thought forward with Major General G.G. Dwivedi. Sir, the US in a background media briefing has also very specifically said there were no US boots on the ground. This was a precision strike to take out Ayman Al-Zawahiri. Why do you think it was necessary for them to underline this fact?
Well, there are a couple of, I would say, issues why they have made such a very precise statement. First and foremost, after America withdrew from Afghanistan on 14th of August last year, it was their commitment that they have withdrawn every person on the ground and they left no one. And that's what the government had made a statement, and that credibility had to be sustained. So therefore, this statement had to come. to verify and also further substantiate that America has no troops on the ground. So secondly, the way it has been done, I think it's very professional, because my own experience, and also I had long conversation. I was in US last month with General Petraeus, who was the Afghan forces commander, that such operations are like searching a needle in the haystack, and in the which geographic region. That is the complexity of such operation. But here, couple of points need to be elaborated. First and foremost, these terrorists, whether it is ISIS or Al-Qaeda or Haqqani network or Taliban, they are all interrelated. They have, in fact, personal relationships. They are married and they have uncles and daughters and across. So therefore, they have blood relations. Secondly, they have very similar ideologies. Only thing is how they implement it, that is maybe a little different. Thirdly, Taliban, after US left, so the Taliban, Afghanistan is a safe haven, and Pakistan always was. In fact, Pakistan contributed to the defeat of American forces because the safe havens of all these terrorist organizations in Afghanistan were out of bounds for the American forces, and therefore they could breed and sustain very effectively. Now coming to what is the impact of the operation, the timing? Well, impact is definitely going to be global, because this guy was a global terrorist and he was the most dreaded, because Al-Qaeda is a very dreaded organization, and they have been trying to spread their wings and tentacles. Even in Assam we had late reports, and so also the effort in Kashmir and in Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka. So they are quite active, but their strategy is now to operate in small modules. And Taliban has deep relationship with all these organizations. They are making good money out of it. They have a good clout. And lastly, as far as Doha agreement is concerned, firstly, it was a very faulty agreement. Why should a country negotiate it with the terrorist group? That is point number one. And it was actually buried and dead on 14th August itself, because Taliban violated it in entirety. I don't think they have any reason now to say that America has violated the Doha agreement, because they have been breeding. All the terrorists and their own citizens have virtually no right. They have not obliged, or they have not carried out any type of commitment that was on the paper.
Okay.
So I think this is a great success for the Americans, for the world. And my last word is that Al-Qaeda is down but not out. There is another leader, Adil, who is already in place. They will continue. But the world and America and others must maintain the pressure, and especially India needs to be on the lookout, because we are the direct sufferers and bear the brunt of terrorism.
Major General Sanjay Mestan, when India had made the statement in the United Nations Security Council with regards to the Taliban and this entire change of guard that was being seen in Afghanistan, it had expressed this concern that the Afghan territory should not be used as a hub for terrorists to breed over there. Today, those concerns of India also, in some sense, that they are being vindicated, or at least what India had said, considering that Ayman Al-Zawahiri was in Kabul itself.
Yeah, absolutely true. Our stand in the United Nations Security Council has been substantiated further. There is no doubt, and we as a nation have always been telling the entire world community that the hub of terrorism is Pakistan and of course Afghanistan. There is no denying to the fact, except that yes, it got restricted during the International Security Assistance Force presence for the last 20 years in Afghanistan. Thereafter, all these so-called terrorists had migrated to, basically Pakistan, and I would say the AFPAC region. So a lot of activities have been going on, and we have been as a nation always stating that this is what is the actual facts on ground. And let me also be very candid, even United States realizes that. But unfortunately, since they were based there, their supply and logistics chain used to be through Pakistan. So therefore, they had to, toe their line also and not take action. But nevertheless, even I would say United States did carry out certain strikes even in Pakistan. That time I remember one of their posts was attacked where I think about 23 Pakistani soldiers were killed, where they had to regret, the Americans had to regret that attack. So what I'm trying to say is a lot of activities are going on, but there was a big term of reference for the United States not to be acting much in Pakistan. But now it is high time that realizing that the root of terrorism emanates from Pakistan, I think it is high time that there was a call. So the root of terrorism emanates from Pakistan, and I think today the United States, India, and other nations which have been affected by terrorism, we need to converge on the main source of terrorism, that is Pakistan. And when I say Pakistan, I mean the Pakistan ISI and the Pakistan Army. And trace the source of funding. Basically, it is through the drugs. And ISI is getting funding through some of the Arab states. That is the whole issue. Whether it is Qatar and all these nations, they are sending money. So there is no problem of funding. So this is what the whole issue is. The weapons, the funding, etc. This has to be traced out. And now the focus should shift to Pakistan. Because even if you recollect, when Taliban had taken over on August 15, that is the time when ISI chief had gone there within a week.
Right.
And he was there for, I think, 3 to 4 days. So this itself shows that the network is been very strong. Pakistan is too strong. And the message, I think the strategic convergence between some of the like-minded nations has to be there. Maybe India has to take a role, the way we highlighted it in the United Nations Security Council. So perhaps, and I see future ahead, that probably things may happen in the right direction, and the world may identify Pakistan, or should identify, and start doing something about tackling Pakistan. But that is the Pakistan ISI.
And
Pakistan
hopefully the focus now will be on, what next for the Al-Qaeda and who's next in command, and, it's sort of structure right now. But General Dwivedi, while we're all praising this American, the precision and the fact that they had no casualties either, and the way it was all carried out, and how they managed to identify the fact that he was staying in this house in Kabul, etc. But to be very cynical, there are also many questions being raised, and whether it was just something that the Biden administration wanted, and whether it was something that was being offered to them by Pakistan, or even Taliban, who's had its assets frozen internationally.
No, well, I think
or should we not question everything so thoroughly right now, and just appreciate the fact that this major anti-terrorist operation was carried out?
Yeah, I think let's be fair to Americans. Well, they went wrong in Afghanistan, I think, entirely, and their withdrawal was a big, I think, negative, and the nation had to face humiliation. But nonetheless, they said that we'll keep at it, and though they had withdrawn, but they have certain amount of assets, and also they had the technical capability. They were on it because, these terrorists like Al-Zawahiri, they are a menace, and they can actually strike anywhere and any time. So therefore, if they are taken out, no matter how long it takes, it actually makes the world a little more safer, and especially the Americans. So to that extent, I think as a professional, I would say it's a very well executed operation. We can question the timing, we can question how the modalities, but nonetheless, what matters at the end of it is the result, and the result is astounding. Secondly, there are, of course, definite geopolitical implications, because America was really, their image had taken a big hit, and so also President Joe Biden, his rating was almost at the lowest. So they had to do something to at least undo the damage that had been done with their withdrawal from Afghanistan. And thirdly, I think today, the situation on the economic front, the European front, the Ukraine war that is on, Pelosi's visit that is right now almost on the verge into Taiwan, number of things are happening geopolitically. Therefore, I think America needs to assure the world that it is still a leading nation, still the leader. Joe Biden needs to prove to the world that he is still a strong person and not a weak, president, and such success definitely gave a shot in the arm both to the nation and the leader. But I would say at the end of it that this war against global terrorism has to continue in whatever form, and India, I think, need to play a more proactive role, because we are facing this constantly, And yet we have not been able to leverage the kind of opinion that we should be able to take with the kind of relationship we have today with America, with the other countries, and morally we stand on very high ground as far as terrorism is concerned. I think we need to be more proactive and take this fight of terrorism beyond the LAC, right where it is emanating, and that is Pakistan. It has to be taken to task, and global community must, I think, declare this as a blacklisted state. They need to graduate from grey to blacklist. Given their tremendous performance, I think world needs to acknowledge that Pakistan and their friend Afghanistan are the epicenter of terrorism, and they must be dealt very forcefully with all the means, whether military,
right,
economical, political.
all right.
Over to you.
Right. Thank you so much, General, for joining us.